and welcome to another episode of Learning Pod brought to you exclusively by Infinity Learning Space. Today we are here to find out more about an expert in the industry, and we are absolutely thrilled to have with us Yashika Disanayake. Hello Yashika, welcome to Learning Pod.
Thank you for inviting me, Devendra.
The pleasure is all ours. And speaking about Yashika, we are absolutely thrilled to have her here with us. And before we start our session today, before we start our Learning Pod episode today, we are thrilled to introduce Yashika to you. Yashika is a professional accountant with over a decade of experience in the industry. But during her experience, she has primarily been in treasury and liquidity management, who has also explored diverse avenues in her career and is currently engaged in financial reporting at an Australian firm. She holds professional qualifications in CIMA and ACCA and has earned a double master's degree in financial economics from the University of Colombo and master's in business administration from the Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Jayawardenepura. Her extensive experience has led her to successfully deliver key projects in various sectors, including insurance, apparel, FMCG, and currently in an overseas electrical industry, to name a few. Well, with that said, Yashika, hello once again, and let's speak about your journey in the industry. What is Yashika's story in the professional field?
Devendra, your introduction looked very elaborated, but I'm very humble to have all that. Now, if I go back, say about a decade and more, when I was pursuing studies, very little I know that I would be in such an industry or in such a position or in such a career. But see, one thing my parents told me was, it doesn't matter where I be, just have some qualifications. So I think I went by their advice. So as I stepped out from my school, my main dream was to have degree. And along with that, I pursued professional accounting qualifications. And since then, the journey has been this long, and ever since I've been learning every day. And very little I know that, education can take you leaps and bounds. So also I think my close circle played a very important role, telling me where to pursue. I had very good friends in different areas, not only in finance industries. And I think that networking took you and also takes you a long way. So honestly speaking, today, when you ask me like how it all started, I never planned it.
Okay.
It just happened, but always I had goals. I missed one, right? So that's how I came to what I am today.
Wonderful, and we are so honored to know you as well. And let's speak a little bit about financial management, because you are a financial management expert in the industry. What made you decide and what inspired you to go ahead with financial management?
Look, I mean, I don't call or see myself as expert in any industry for the sole reason that financial management arena, the fraternity itself, is ever evolving, right? So if we consider ourselves, I know everything, we know everything, and this is about it, then there's no progress that you're going to make. But having said that, now, when we were learning, it's very little we knew something of financial management existence. It was always accountants, it was always bookkeeping, it was always, being able to record and do the right level of transactions. But I think over the past a decade and so on, world has evolved so much that financial management itself doesn't stand alone. It is an integrated sphere. It is an integrated effort. Now, in today's world, none of the organizations take a standalone finance decision.
Okay.
It is always, you have to look for risk. You have to look for geopolitics. You have to always look for, you name it. I mean, everything is involved in it, right? So now, when you say an expert, it's not that you have kind of done well in the areas, but it's always the fact that you have the gut to make the bold decision with the very limited information that you have. Now, when we were studying, we were never told you will be given this level of information, but honestly, when we went to final exams, very little amount of papers we had as of information. And that's only you have to make your decisions. But in real world, it's a case. Now, in a real situation, you may not know what happens in the industry as a whole. You may not know what happens in the other country, in the same industry. You have very limited information, but you make the right, bold decision.
Yeah.
So I think, and also experience plays a bigger part in shaping your career, because I personally don't think any person should be restricted into one particular area. You should explore many opportunities, many experiences as much as possible, and every industry, every opportunity that comes your way will teach you something that you can take forward. And one more thing, I'm very grateful for all the mistakes I made. That's the biggest learning, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can make a mistake every day and like a grave mistake. That's called prudence, right? So you have to be prudent. But I mean, well, you did the best of yours, and what if it's a silly mistake? That's okay.
That's very true. And also speaking about, because you mentioned about limited information, but you need a more holistic approach to it to get information to keep up with all the global trends and so on. So I'm just going to jump into another question and ask you, because it is a lot of effort to take financial management decisions. So how do you actually keep up with the global trends about financial management, about the decisions, the information you need? How do you keep up with the global trends to apply in your professional and lecturing experience?
Again, I'll take back to about a decade or even more than that when we were doing our studies. Comparatively to that, Dhamendra, now people have information at fingertips. IoT, information of the Internet of Things, have played a bigger role and have evolved as much that you want to know about a cabinet decision in USA, it's just a matter of a minute. Back then we had to wait till the weekend papers come, or maybe in about a couple of hours until international news popped it out.
Yeah.
Nowadays people have access to almost everything unless they are classified,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, information is there. It's just that where you rightfully look to and with which kind of mindset that you look to, right? Now, when you have a lot of information, people get confused. And filtering is difficult. But having said that, getting information is not a challenge today. Getting the right information at the right level with the right level of mindset is the problem now, right? So I don't think, again, when you ask me like how I keep update, it's always look for the right level of information. And there are very good readouts, right? With maybe a monthly subscription or even podcasts today. Vlogs are there, business vlogs are there, and there are certain platforms which actually helps you even in learning data analytics. And you can be a pro in that area all by yourself. No classes, nothing, right? It's just that you have to look for the right place with the right mindset. So data and information is widely available.
Yeah, true. That is very true. And okay, Yashika, I'm also going to ask you about, because before you mentioned about making mistakes and, learning from that. So let's speak a little bit about the challenges, because we've all had challenges when climbing the career or climbing a professional ladder. Would you like to share a few challenges that you've faced which has changed into who you are?
Yeah, sure. So now, when I initially stepped out as a qualified accountant, number one, I think my taste palette didn't like to be a typical accountant.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted something else, something, probably it's my little bit of ego, I would say, but the right level of ego.
Yeah.
So I wanted something very, how do I say, challenging.
Okay.
And where I can think on my feet. Initially I got into stockbrokering, and also I worked as a research analyst, where I got a good grasp of analysis, how markets work, not only Sri Lanka but also overseas, and which risk factors to look into, how markets, which to invest, which to withdraw, all that. So that was a good learning. That was my first experience. And then as you go on, I realized that there are companies which offers you more holistic experience, but not as an accountant, but in different fields. Now that's where my first ABCs of treasury liquidity management comes into play. I worked with one of the largest, world's largest insurance companies, and also from financial accounting side, I also moved into different aspects of how quality, how risk and governance works in the organization, and how do you do reporting, and how do you do integrated reporting with your numbers, and also combining your market factors. And that's a very, I would say, highly regulated area, and that industry has a lot of risk on its own, right? And when you're operating in different geological spaces, then of course you have to be vigilant more than a usual accountant would be.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning. And so as to tell challenges, I can't really pinpoint and say this is a challenge, because every day something new is happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as I told you, that's where I got learned to work with minimum information. And perhaps that's how the professional upbringing in a slightly a different accountant's role that I was groomed to. So every day you have, some problem to fix.
Yeah.
But it's the end of the day. I'm not saying treasury was good than accounting. It's not. It's always a combination. But I think when you dare to do something different, and when you have the liking to go a little extra mile, there's always a way that you come out. And only thing is, I knew that whatever happens, I'm unstoppable.
Yes.
And I'm unbreakable, and it just maybe today I'm bad and down, but tomorrow let me puff myself and come out. So it's always that.
Amazing. I love that. And hearing that from you is definitely very empowering as well. And Yashika, speaking about being different, let's speak a little bit about Infinity Learning Space as well. Infinity Learning Space is an online platform which caters to students of all kinds. What is the approach that you would usually take to cater to students or when lecturing? Because teaching something like or lecturing something like financial management is not always easy. Is there a specific approach that you take when doing something or something different that you do when teaching on an online platform?
Yeah, so Dhumendra, now this is like my second comeback to lecturing. 5 years back, I stopped it for a personal reason, and then before that, the lecturing methods, the platforms were so different.
Yeah.
So when I come back, I see how even the industry itself has evolved, which is good. Now, let me be specific, right? Now, in a professional course, there's always a part that every student has to play. I mean, it doesn't have to be a final case study or whatever, but even at the lower levels where your initial learning comes, there's always an element that you have to put. Now, as a lecturer, my very basic method is I want everything very simplified. It can be a standard, it can be a policy, or it can be anything, right? But I want it to be very simple. Now, as a student, I will put myself into that and see it's about 150 pages, and if I give that same 150 pages to any student, they will not even read it, they will not even look at it. What we should be able to do is there are certain key things that you can take away from that, and the entire thing will only be based on that, right? There can be nitty-gritties, there can be alternatives, there can be options, but there is always a core. Now, I, as a lecturer, want that core grounded, that's solid, and simplifying everything into where any person can absorb is the other thing. Now, back in the day, when we were physically lecturing, we had a lot of interaction, and that kept me going also. When it's always a audience, and then you can interact. It's as much as interesting to them, it's interesting to you. Now, the challenging in an online platform is that you don't know what happens in the other side, right? That's why I say there's always a part of the student as well, where you have to be vigilant, you have to know where to and where to grasp when we are delivering. Also, one other thing is one of my, I think, personal plus points is when I was learning, I used to have everything as a story. Storytelling, or perhaps putting it into a very decorative or kind of a very easy way of understanding mind map, was my winning point. And I believe, and I have seen that a lot of these days youngsters absorb it very well. So I think those are few things that I'm trying to pursue and put it in a very very easy, light manner to our students. And also, when you go to a higher levels of education in any form, no one is expecting you to hard study the entire theory. That is not what is expected. The only thing that is expected is whether you can relate it to what is given there. And lecturers' point of view, or their duty, is to ensure that takeaway points is easily given to the student. So maybe there are a few more else, but then I would say those are very key things that I would focus.
Wonderful. And also, Yashika, speaking about absorbing the information into practical experiences as well. You are someone that has had extensive experience in multiple sectors with a lot of hands-on experience as well. And speaking about SL5, because SL5 is based on a case study, which is in most cases it's applied to different areas as well. And could we elaborate a little on how real life scenarios actually do prepare students for practical challenges in their careers?
So Dimitra, I think as someone who has been in different industries and someone who has seen those case studies, I would say case studies, actually simulation is the best way of gaining knowledge, but in a larger setup like this we can't do that. And then the best second option would be a case study. So every case study is perhaps fictitious, but it relates to somewhat real scenario that has taken place, because we can't really tell what that organization is or what really happened. There can be few alternatives. So case study is always a good way of testing for a couple of reasons. Now, we don't expect the lower levels to have a massive case study and responding to that. We know that they are not professionally ready, but now this is for a person who's going to be a qualified accountant, take the responsibility of the financial pillar or the function of that organization or some organization at some point. Now that's the way of preparing a professional's mindset. Now yet again, I want to tell that to our candidates not to see case study as a rampant effort of testing many theories. That's definitely not the outcome expected. As examiners, they would want to see whether you are ready for your next level.
Yeah.
Now, there are entrepreneurs in our country, right? Same thing happens with them. Every day there's a case. Now, entrepreneurs think on their feet, act on their own. That's what is expected. There's no difference whether you're professionally qualified or not.
Yeah.
You are expected to go beyond and think, look, this really happened to me. I mean, what would I do if I were the CEO?
Yeah.
What would I do if I were the CRO of this organization? There's a massive problem.
Yeah.
So we don't want to put a single hat of an accountant or a qualified person, but we want to have a more broader role
Yeah.
played and fix the situation in the righteous way.
Okay.
So case study, I don't see any other way than having a case study. That's why I said, like, case studies can't have all the information that we want to give to the candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's unfortunate. But that's also preparation of the next level, where you will have very limited information. I have only this set of information and I'm just gonna take a decision based on that.
Okay.
So answering to your question, case study is the best way of testing knowledge. Why? We are not expected to write theories, but apply theories. And when you apply theories, there's can't be a right or a wrong way. And there's surely no wrong, actually, right? As long as you logically prove it. So that's the beauty of it. What a lot of people don't understand in this setup is that some people hard study and forget things, and they get excited and they're like, I don't remember the theory and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
No, you're not supposed to write the theory, not a single word, but just tell us how you're going to apply it, resolve the problem right there.
Yeah.
That is expected.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. And okay, speaking about decision making and resolving problems, you mentioned that majority of your profession you have been in the corporate treasury, as you've been a corporate treasurer, and the treasury area of it, the subject, is very much tested in the new curriculum. So speaking about that, because there are a lot of information, there are a lot of areas about certain things like strategic role of financial management in organizations and capital structure decision making, etc. So what could be your advice for people or for our students that are struggling to get more information about being or having the knowledge about treasury? What would your advice be for students such as them?
Look, again, it can be a company, but let's scale it down first, right? Now, a single person, this is how I learned it. So, as a single person, I will have one floor of income, and there will be decisions that I had to make, like capital based decisions, where, say, I want to build a house. And also at the same time, I have my ongoing expenses, which is my working capital. And also at the same time, I want to save something, which is my investment. And I mean, all that has to be based on something that I have at the moment, right? Now, if I don't have the amount of money that I want, then where do I look for? Can I take a loan? Can I borrow from someone? Or can I, if I have already done some investments, can I just do something differently with it and maybe put 50% on to invest and get the rest out?
Yeah.
Now, something similar to that. What happens is when you scale it down to your personal level, it's just easy to do and understand. But in organizations, there are a lot of protocols and red tapes, you name it. Now, treasury and management, liquidity management, cash flow management has been in earlier syllabuses, but just that it has not brought up in such a way that it gives prominence. But now the world has evolved, right? When you look at an accountant's role, I don't see any organization requires an accountant for the 20-year-old job that they used to do. Now they have cloud-based ERPs, automated reporting, recording, transactional systems, and accountant is no longer required for that. Accountant is required for the sole purposes management and higher above activities. So that is where people, if you're still in this mindset of like, look, I know how to record, I know my double entry, I know what to do with it. No, that is not what is expected. You have to go the miles apart from what you have been thinking as what an accountant should be. So nowadays, treasury is not a standalone activity. It's also with data. It's also with analytics, right? And it also corresponds with a lot of market trends. It also looks at different risks. You have to look at certain credit risks, certain interest rates, certain currency risk. And now the newest thing is there's a lot of geopolitics involved, right? With the latest United States decision on imposing about import taxes. Now, I don't think any syllabus in this world of professional accounting has prepared you for that. But now, as accountants or as people in charge of certain elements of organization, now can we say, no, I don't think we were taught or told to do this. Now, if you're a finance manager of a apparel company or let's say any export company, now you have to get ready to see a way out with an additional import tax. Now, that's the beauty of you being able to think on your own feet, getting along with the regulations, playing nicely with your geopolitics, right? So that's something you can't say no to. You have to adhere to, but you have to still work on your exports. I mean, like Sri Lankan exports should still reach to USA, right?
That's true.
So it's all about it's good that now actually, when you think about it, it's good that, I mean, syllabuses just do focuses on certain elements like that, which has always been I think, a prime case. Uh, but I would say not that it has not also been highlighting. There has been elements of certain aspects that have been. Also, that prepares you for the new world.
Yeah.
The world that you have not yet seen, the corporate world or maybe the geopolitics world that you should be ready to deal with in the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I'm going to touch a little bit about what you mentioned about technology, because technology is always developing every day, every week. There's a new technological development. Can we speak a little bit about the technology, or what role does technology play in the role of modern financial management?
Look, I mean, again, comparing 12 years back to now, I don't see where any provision be without technology, right? And especially with certain events like pandemic hitting us, technology has helped us in leaps and bounds. Inevitably, there's always a downside to it, but let's talk good side. Now, back in the day, we used to write in books, right? Now, I have seen kids in school with smart boards, and if allowed, they will have their own iPads and smart pads and all that whatnot, and they will start writing on their own. Back then, in meetings, we used to take pages and pages down, and now it's just like a dictator, right? And everything turns into a transcript, and who's the task owner, the task follow-up, the date, everything gets merged into your mail. That's the world we live in, and I think the next 10 years is gonna be absolutely crazy in terms of technology. I don't know what will come out. Now, if you're thinking still inside the box that I will be a typical accountant working on books, or perhaps now there are ERP systems, let's not do that. It's not today, it's not even yesterday, it's about a couple of years back, right? Technology should be part of yourself, and no longer, actually I haven't seen any PowerPoints being done lately as well, because everything from the ERP system, maybe it's just a couple of days after, in terms of, let's say, month end, and then you get your reports into your hand, right? And not in PowerPoint presentation. It's a nice dashboard, your sales, your revenue, your COGS, your margins, and where you're eating up your profits, where you're having your cash cow, all that comes in a nice dashboard. You should be able to get ready for that, and that is where the future is. And if someone says data and data analytics is disruptive, I mean, disruption is the new tomorrow, or perhaps it's today, the new today, right? So, I mean, it's part of disruption, and that's inevitable. You have to go with it. And don't set a mindset to be a typical accountant in an office. Your role should be absolutely different. Your scope, your JD will not restrict only to certain written items, because technology is taking control. Also, now coming back to technology, I think this platform is also one of the key changes that are brought into education, right? A lot of people, as like me, used to be in classrooms and lecture halls, and now we are learning online. It's because of technology. It's because that it has evolved in both ways. Now we are creating the content, and it's been delivered, and it has been also accepted, because technology has taken that long way. It's an inevitable, and you have to, I mean, don't take charge of it. Just, I think you have to embrace it in the righteous mind.
Yeah, true. And speaking about embracing, because a lot of students find, whether it's SL5 or whether it's a subject in the curriculum, they find it quite difficult to, to pass it in one go maybe, or, just certain things when it comes to CA, they find it difficult. What are the common mistakes that you think they do, and what should they do to avoid such mistakes?
Dumindra, I must say that if anyone doesn't pass in one go, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
If that was the case, majority of us would have not been here. So it's okay. I mean, I have flunked in 1 mark, but what exactly requires is your motivation to kill it the next time, right? Now you asked me where students go wrong. Before coming here, I just spoke to few, and then they work with me. The problem is when I ask how many more subjects, it's just the last one, SL5. Why aren't you taking it? It's a kill, right? The moment you take something as that's gonna kill you, you will have no motivation to go for it. A lot of people have, I know it's a bizarre concept, it's an integrated one, you have 4 pillars and everything integrated. You get 1 case study, pre-seen, unseen, and then also you are given only 3.5 hours, 20 minutes reading, whatnot, right? But when you are qualified and when you are really in the corporate world, there are worse things than that. And you are not given 3.5 hours to make that decision. You are supposed to make that decision now. And if you don't make that, perhaps your stock prices will crash. And you will be liable for about millions and millions of dollars or rupees. So you are surely not given 3.5, and you're very generous. The paper gives you 3.5 hours. Now let's take it in a very positive spin, right? Now, any final exam is difficult, and that's why it's a final exam. Yet again, it's not expecting you to dictate any other theory. I'm telling once again, a lot of people think that they have to hard study word to word and know each and every point, or sometimes every model. That's bizarre. I mean, there's a human brain capacity. You cannot literally have that. Only thing that is expected in SL05 is that, look, it's a case study. You're a risk officer, or you're an executive officer, or you're a financial officer of the organization. If this happens to you, what would you do? What is the first thing that you will respond with, and how you will logically prove it to your board? And that's why a strategy comes into place. You have to know your strategy. And your numbers, whatever that is given, you have to work on and show that, I think I know a way. This strategy with this number will work. Let's go with it. Maybe we don't have a day, maybe we don't have even an hour, but that's okay. Let's take the risk. And a lot of people say they don't have enough time to go through the numbers, that is, everything is it's okay. You are supposed to take a decision with limited information. I don't think I can stress this enough than this. So yes, case study is put through to test your applicability, your relatability of your knowledge, and there surely none of the examiners are going to test. So be the child or be the candidate who takes the case study with a curiosity. Now let me tell you something. Now, have you seen toddlers, and when you give something new to toddlers, how they take it? And if I give the same new thing to you, or me for that matter, I'll be like, okay. It's always attitude problem, right? So, be the candidate with curiosity, that you want to nail it, you just want to break a leg, and you want to prove yourself, rather than very difficultly facing the paper. And I'm sure everybody will be good enough.
Absolutely. And Yashika, with that motivation, we want to say a big thank you to you for the motivation that you have given our viewers here today, and also for speaking to us. And we're definitely looking forward to seeing you in the future with Infinity Learning Space as well. Thank you very much for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dhruminda. It's lovely to integrate with you and have this interaction.
The pleasure is all mine. Well, with that, thank you for watching, and stay tuned with Learning Pod as Infinity Learning Space brings you episodes just like these.